Have you ever been in a match as Survivor where as soon as a teammate gets downed, they DC? Or maybe the killer got looped for a while and decided they'd had enough. Maybe you fumbled after teabagging and then you got caught and felt embarrassed and now you have to leave because the match is just no longer suitable for you. Today's video is about when it's acceptable to disconnect or power through. So let's talk about it. Alright, getting right into it. First point is disconnecting because you don't like the killer. You all already know whose name is about to be brought up. Yes, we're talking about Skull Merchant or any killer for that matter. You know, I really feel like, of course, this is just, me personally, but I definitely feel like disconnecting as soon as you get into a match because you don't like the killer is totally unnecessary. I definitely feel like disconnecting because of any killer right when you got into the match is totally unnecessary. I get the stigma, I get it, and I'm sure there are a lot of you that'll probably disagree. But I feel like, we always give people a chance. If you're playing against Skull Merchant and they're not playing in a bad way and they're not, engaging in normal gameplay, I say give the match a chance. You're really, because all you're really doing, one, you're giving yourself a pointless timeout because you can't, queue right up into the next match, so that's needless. And then you're also leaving your teammates, hanging, because you don't like the killer you're going against. So I'm going to definitely put that one in the definitely not suitable. However, if you are playing against any killer for that matter that is not engaging in normal gameplay and, they're doing the thing where they slug right off the bat and all that good stuff that you don't like, or they're, like I say, they're not engaging in normal gameplay, then I understand you DCing then. But if you're just like, you know what, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to play this killer, and I just feel like that's really pointless, you're wasting your own time because you can't get right back to it, and then you're leaving your teammates, you're leaving your teammates to dry. You might be playing against a killer who's a normal killer. Like me, I'll be honest, I've played Skull Merchant a lot of times. I think I've only ever had someone DC against me maybe once or twice, maybe. Let's say I've played, I don't know, I'm just gonna guess. Let's say I've played 50 matches of Skull Merchant. I probably had that happen once or twice. I am not an unfair killer. I've said that a million times. I'm not, the type of killer that's gonna try and be some type of way. I'm gonna try and win. That's, my thing is, I'm the type of killer where I'm gonna try and win. But I'm not going to do anything that's, egregious or out of the ordinary. I'm just trying to play the match, just like everyone else. So, I've rarely had that happen, but I've seen a lot of people who have said they've had that experience, and I just feel like that's pointless against any killer. If you're not engaged, there's some talk to be had about the killer's kit and the killer's power. But I'll say I've had plenty of matches that were quite fun, playing a Skull Merchant. I do agree though that Skull Merchant's power is not as fun. I think I can be honest. I do totally agree that it seems like there was some potential to be had with the drones. Maybe the drones could have had an actual attack mode and stuff like that instead of just reconnaissance. Stuff like that could have made it a little more engaging. But that's not the case. So, we have this killer that's, been through a lot of changes. And I just feel like disconnecting without giving the killer a chance to just play the match normally is needless. Alright, and then the next point is going to be when you DC because you lost your strategy. Now, I have had this happen quite a bit where, I've made it abundantly clear that I'm a very big advocate of Lightborn. So I run Lightborn a lot, and I've had it happen plenty of times where a survivor will, say the first chase I get into, they throw a pallet and they throw they try and flashlight stun, I kick the pallet, go right through it, down them, and they DC. That has happened more times than the Skull Merchant DC for me. And I just feel like that you lost your strategy, so now you no longer want to play. Imagine if every time we had anything, not to make it all deep and everything, but imagine if every time a plan didn't go our way, we just quit. And I do have to say, for out of all my matches, that doesn't happen that much, but I have had that happen a few times, and it's just like, they're just like, oh, you know what, Lightborn, I'm not going to do it. That's messing up my strategy. And of course, I've had that against, like, say, we can use the term bully squad, where a team may come in with the plan based around flashlights. And because I have Lightborn and that foils that plan, people start DCing. And, I just feel like, again, the match isn't going the way you want it to go. So now you have to leave. I think that's needless. I will say I think that's needless and definitely not suitable. So I would say for either side, if you are a killer and you came in with some kind of plan for your kit, you know, your perks and everything, and the survivors are just outplaying you, and then as a killer you're like, you know what, I'm done. Also whack. Also whack. And you know, I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna act like I'm perfect. I have done that before, where you kind of like, you get upset, you know, you're getting outplayed and you leave. We're human. Sometimes, you know, we let our emotions get to the best of us. I've definitely done that before, where I'm like, you know what, this match isn't going my way, and you know, you leave. I've done that before. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie about it and act like I've never done that. But I'm putting myself in that category as well and saying, no, that's a time where you just gotta power through. You know, if no one is cheating and no one is being, you know, overtly toxic or anything, they're just outplaying you. Nah, you gotta hang in there. And then what I would also add to that, the times where I have almost hit the DC button are times where I actually came back and did pretty well. So, you know, a lot of the times it's about perseverance, you know, and hanging in there. Isn't that the message in life in general? Hanging in there and powering through when things get tough, right? So I'll say not suitable for that one. However, as far as game plan and stuff goes, let me go ahead and blanket this one. Let me go ahead and say this one for the rest of the video. If you have somebody that's cheating or something like that, that definitely is grounds for disconnecting. Maybe even turning the game off. Okay, pause real quick. I guess this Sable felt like I was tunneling, even though you can clearly see I was just chasing another player and I just happened to come across this Sable. So I didn't really feel like doing whatever this thing is right here, where I'm just kind of like letting you do your thing. Also, did you know subscribing is free? Just throwing that out there. Okay, let's get back to it. I know that can be annoying. I'll go ahead and say, you know, if you've got like the bully squads, I try to not do that. I try to like, you know, go ahead and put the veteran boots on and say, you know what, I got something for you, and still try and come out on top. Sometimes you can, sometimes, you know, you win some, you lose some. But I will say, if you've got like this overtly toxic, especially for new killers or new players, if you got like a group of survivors that's just like, you know, overtly toxic, bagging and clicking everywhere, following you, and just, you know, kind of taking advantage of, you know, possibly a new killer, and then that killer DCs, you got to understand that one. I know we've all seen the clips on YouTube and everything of like killers DCing when they like when the struggle gets a little too rough. And I understand that. I would say to try and power through, but I totally get it though. You know, at the end of the day, you like, you know what? I'm playing a video game. I'm not about to be this stressed about a video game. So totally get that one. All right, next point is about taunting and then getting caught and DCing. That one, my friends, oh boy. So what I mean by that is like where a survivor is, you know, really bagging and clicking away and pointing and doing all that, and then you catch up with them and they DC. I've had that happen quite a few times, and it's hilarious, but also like disheartening, you know, because it's like, you did all that, and then I powered through and I got you, and now you're done. I say, come on guys, come on. You know, so you did all of that, and you're like, you know what, I'm done. You got me. I'm so upset. I'm so embarrassed. I'm leaving. I'm mortified. But then you left your teammates to struggle. Like I've said before, it's not up to either side to make sure the other side has fun. So what ends up happening is like you DC because you were embarrassed or whatever the reason is, and then now those other 3 survivors or however many survivors are left are like, oh well, the killer should definitely show me mercy now. I'm gonna say no, not necessarily. You got bots now. You know, if you're just totally down a teammate, then maybe. But I'm not mad at the killer for continuing the fight because somebody, you know, wanted to be some type of way and DC'd. I'm more upset if I'm like noticing that you're like singling me out and you're only going after me. But even then, you know, like I've said before, that can be a strategy as well. It's kind of annoying, but that can be a strategy as well. So, you know, I'm not gonna say that you definitely shouldn't have mercy on survivors on a survivor squad that had somebody DC. I'm not gonna say you shouldn't, because I've done that before, where, you know, I may have had a really good match and then somebody, you know, DC because of something stupid, and I'm like, you know what, I'll still let you guys go, or at least let one go. Yeah, I do that from time to time. What I'm saying though is expecting the killer to have mercy on the rest of the team because somebody DC'd. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. We got bots, and as we all know, bots are fully capable of continuing the fight on their own. So nah, I don't know about that one. But yeah, if you taunted and then got caught, I'm gonna say you gotta hold that L. I'm gonna say you gotta hold that L. You gotta stick that one in there. Nah, if you bag and you click and you do all of that, running around and whatnot, and then the killer catches you and they hit you on a hook, you knew what you were doing, right? on both sides. You know, if you're a killer that is, and I'm not gonna say just from survivors. If you're a killer and you know you're being some type of way, you're hitting everybody on hook unnecessarily. You're slugging. You're doing a little thing where it looks like you're humping. You know, where you like walk up to their body and move back, and you do that. And then you get teabagged at the exit gate. You had it coming, you know, or you get like the survivors following you, trying to get your attention to chase somebody who's better in chase, and then you get bagged and stuff like that. You had it coming, and myself included. I'm not really a taunting kind of guy, but if I know I do something that's like, hey, I got you, and then they get me, I got to be all right with that, right? Moving right along. I think I alluded to this one a little earlier in the video about like bullying. If I didn't, I'll touch on that one kind of quickly. So we've seen bully squads, you know, before. So if you've got like a bully squad that's doing like the whole flashbang head-on thing, they're not engaging in regular gameplay. They really are just trying to get their cool clips, you know, for YouTube and TikTok and all that. It's not like, you know, they did that and they're also doing gens and trying to survive. But if you tell, you know, we all know, if you've got a bully squad that's spawned in, is like, no, our objective today is to make the killer have a bad day. If you're the killer, I don't blame you for DCing on that one. Not at all. And on the other side to that, with the toxicity, if you're a survivor and you spawned in and the killer is slugging everybody right off the bat, and it's not a game plan, it's not a perk that they're trying to play or something like that, they're just trying to make the survivors have a bad day, DC as well. That makes total sense. So with the bully squads, you know, where you got the head-on flashbang and all that, where they're I'm not saying that doing that is toxic or some type of way. I'm saying doing that only without trying to actually complete the objective, which is generators and escape, and you're just trying to bully the killer, and then the killer DCs, makes total sense to me. I can get behind that. Like I said before, I would try to not do that and try and actually beat them. But if you've had enough for the day, you've had a long day at work, and you're like, you know what, I'm not gonna let the game stress me. Totally get it. Do what you got to do. But that's going to be it for today's video today, guys. I'm sure you guys probably got some thoughts and opinions to share. As I always say, all for it. Let's just keep it respectful of everyone's opinions and whatnot. And we can talk about it. We can have that debate. If my voice sounds a little funny, I am recovering from a cold. If you've seen my last video, was just kind of like some gameplay, which I know is a little bit different from the type of content that we usually cover here on the channel. But I am feeling better. So I wanted to go ahead and get back out there with you guys. As always, thank you all for sticking around, watching the videos, sharing your thoughts, commenting. If you have some time and you made it this far, you may as well go ahead and hit subscribe, right? I mean, it's free. You must have enjoyed the video to some extent. Go ahead and hit that sub button. But with all that said, as I always say, stay safe, and I will see you in the fog.